The following live broadcast is rated PG. Parental guidance is suggested. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and follow Ear Shoulder Voice on YouTube and Facebook, or visit our website at www.earshouldervoice.com.
We've got to work together.
Good evening and welcome to Ear Shoulder Voice. We're glad to have you here tonight. As a lot of you know, show was originally scheduled to be on yesterday. We had to delay it. We blame power outages. We blame so much stuff like that, but that wasn't the reason the game was on. And we couldn't tear ourselves away. That's the big thing. When the game's on, you got to watch it. You're so focused on it, nothing else really matters. Well, there wasn't one on tonight, so here we are, and we're glad to have you here. Tonight's topic is going to be, of course, what's the score? A sports fan's dedication. We want to find out all about our sports fans out there. What has brought that dedication to you? Why do you slip into such a sports coma when you're watching your favorite football game on TV? When you're watching, well, not tennis. Nobody watches tennis. And what sports do you like? What don't you like? Where does the difference come in from playing the sport versus watching the sport? Some people don't like watching it and they love actually playing the sport all the time, and vice versa for other ones. So we're going to talk about a lot of that, and we just want you to have a good time. Don't forget, if you're on here, go to the comments, give us your input, ask us questions. We'll respond live on the panel with you. Speaking of the panel, let's introduce them. And here we are once again. First panelist I'm going to bring in, of course, is one of the co-founders of Ear Shoulder Voice. We love having her every time she's here. She's smart, she's pretty, she's witty, and she's blonde. Linny, how you doing?
Great. How are you? And what did you mean that there's no game on tonight? It's Monday Night Football.
It was an excuse. People might be not be watching it right now. Okay.
I have it on. Right over there on the screen.
We really got delayed due to the power outages. Okay, but I didn't want it to sound that way. You just ruined my entire setup.
I know. That was the point.
Way to start the show.
You're welcome.
Yeah. But you know, aside from that, I still love you.
I love you too.
Linny, you're a sports fan yourself. I see you got your Tigers gear on. Detroit. Yep. Gotta love Detroit there. So what is your favorite sports out there? What games do you not want to miss?
Oh, football.
Football's your big one?
Football, I like them all. I used to be a huge, like in the 80s, was the Pistons. The Bad Boys. And that was fun. And then, of course, when Barry Sanders and that whole group of football players, that was really fun because I was friends with some of their wives, and we used to get to go to all the football games and sit in the 50-yard line, and it was just fun. Fun.
Is there any sports you just can't stand?
To watch? Golf.
Yeah, golf. Golf is one of the most boring fucking sports in the world to watch.
Golf
I
is
agree
like
with that
cool.
100%. But
I'd rather watch... I would rather watch underwater basket weaving.
I've never watched that, but it probably would be more exciting. Actually, I can guarantee it'd be more exciting. All right, we're going to bring in our next panelist. Please welcome Joe. How you doing?
Good.
Hi,
good.
Joe.
How you guys doing? Hi, Lenny. Hi,
Good to have you on here. So, Joe, I can look at the back right now. You're a Detroit fan, obviously a football fan. You've got the Detroit Lions right behind you. So, tell me, is football your sport, or is there...
Football is my sport. I mean, I love hockey, but football's my sport. I watch football every week, enjoy it. Been a Lions fan since as long as I can remember watching football, and don't plan on ever stopping, no matter how bad we are.
Who's your favorite quarterback?
Actually, I like Stafford a lot right now, but if I go back throughout the years, I mean, We've got so many issues with quarterbacks. We've never been able to keep one good. So it's hard to say my favorite of all time.
Do you have any that's on another team?
Oh, yeah.
Well, I'll tell you one. It's not Tom Brady.
I figured that one. I figured that one for sure.
I think Aaron Rodgers is a very good quarterback, very exceptional, and actually I give a lot of respect to Patrick Mahomes. He's really good.
Keith, that's Green Bay is Aaron
Rodgers. Fuck off, Lenny.
I didn't
say I didn't know sports at all. I said I don't get to follow the games. My job kind of prevents that now. Like I said, I'm a DJ for the last 20 years. My job is to go into a bar, turn off the game,
Right.
and
So,
start
Joe,
the entertainment.
the Tom Brady thing, why do you not like him?
I don't like his ego.
The deflating of the football thing,
No, it was long before that. I've never been a Brady fan. I think he's overrated.
yeah.
He's got all the pieces around him that made him what he is.
He
True on
cheated
that.
on it. He cheated on his old wife to be with the one he's with. I don't like
Yeah.
people like that.
And she's
Moral
not even good
dilemma.
looking, so
Yeah.
Yeah, there could be reasons we'd allow that. All right, we're going to
No.
bring our next panelist in. Our final panelist of the night, please welcome Josh. Josh, how's it going?
Hi, Josh.
Hello.
So you feel, I see, if you look, I don't know how this worked out, but we've got the hockey, we've got baseball, we've got football right there, and they're all Detroit teams. How you feel about that, Josh?
Well, I don't mind the professional teams. I do root for Detroit professional teams. Yes, I like the Lions, the Tigers. I'm not so much the Pistons, but it's neither here nor there. I'm just not a basketball fan. But when it comes to sports, though, I'm definitely one of the biggest Buckeyes fans you'll ever meet in your life, which is a blessing.
I'm so sorry.
Why are you sorry?
Don't be sorry.
I mean, everybody's got
It's
their
amazing.
team.
because you have to hate a football fan. Ohio State from Michigan.
Yeah, if you're Michigan,
Exactly.
Ohio's got to
But-
be hated.
What do you
To-
think is
to- to
a bigger
be-
rival? Michigan, Ohio State, Michigan State.
Probably Michigan.
I think
Michigan.
Michigan,
Michigan,
think
Michigan
Michigan,
State.
Ohio
Right
State.
now,
I think for
Ohio
I
State.
think for Michigan, it's Michigan. Obviously,
well,
more
it didn't
than
used to be that way, but
Yeah.
because they're on the same playing field now, they both kind of suck, and neither one can beat Ohio State at all. So now Ohio State is not really a rival for Michigan if they just get their shit.
they're
pushed
just
in
that
every
bad.
week.
Michigan's just that bad. But I'm not a Michigan or Michigan State fan. I'm actually my true college team is the Sooners. Always been an Oklahoma Sooner
yeah,
fan.
yeah.
Growing up, I always watched them, and that's team I've been with for college.
Well, let's hit that because Josh mentioned his sports team. He's a fan of the professional teams. Are you a fan of any of your home teams? Your Ohio teams? You're from Ohio, correct?
Yeah. I grew up a Browns fan. I grew up an Indians fan. Cleveland Cavaliers, of course. But when I moved up to Michigan when I was 12, the Browns got taken overnight to Baltimore, so I didn't have a team for a few years. This into my teens. So I switched to probably an equal team of being shitty and rooting for the Lions. So, that was kind of a wash. The Indians, when I started to realize, because when you're young, you have favorite players and whatnot, and then you don't realize that the sports are a business, correct? So when all your favorite players start going to other teams, you're like, wait a minute, what happened to my favorite team? Nobody plays on the team anymore except for these ragtag group of guys that I have no idea who most of them are, or some
Right.
washed up veterans that came over, and it's just, so I was like, all right, I'll just root for the team that my friends now root for, and that was the Tigers.
So you're
Yeah.
a follower.
Well, it was in professional sports. See, you can always switch in professional sports, and you can go to whoever you want. College, it's rule number one: you can never switch your college team. If you're a fan of the Buckeyes or a fan of the Wolverines, you're a fan for life. You can never change.
So you're a switch
Joe.
hitter.
Joe, you seem to have an issue with that
I mean,
statement.
I don't have an issue
Yeah,
with
right.
that statement at all.
I saw you perked up. You're like, wait a minute. Now, what do you mean?
No, I have no issue with that at all. There's certain reasons you grow up liking a team, and it doesn't always have to be your home state team. I mean, I just happen to be a Lions fan because I remember watching them as a kid, and we always rooted for them, and that was it. And same thing with Sooners. They're not my home state, but I had family from Oklahoma, and anytime my uncle would come over for the holidays, we always had Sooners football on. So it was the thing to watch. So you can like different teams from different states. I have no problem with that. But
Well,
I
think
mean, I
being a
don't
Michigan
like the
fan-
Pistons at all.
I don't think. Do we have any basketball fans on here? Because that's the one sport
Well-
I'm not a fan of.
I used to be when it was along in the 80s when you had the bad boys, when you had Dennis Rodman and Isaiah Thomas and Lambeer.
When everyone
and
was.
That
Well, I
was
agree.
that was fun. That was fun times. And now I don't even know any of them. I don't follow it
Well,
at
Michigan's kind of a weird state to root for your teams because it's very rare our teams are simultaneously ever doing good. Like
Well, you
the
used to have
Lions,
the Pistons and the Red Wings were always good the same years.
that was
And
like
then-
the only
Isaiah.
time that we had it.
All through,
But like
through
the
the
Lions
90s.
had their
I mean, that's
heyday
all it
in the
was.
60s.
80s.
The Lions in the 60s. Tigers
Lions
were
didn't have a
definitely.
heyday in the 60s.
They were a better team then. But that's the best they've been.
I think 1957.
The Lions have
Okay,
one
57.
playoff win from 1957 since 1957.
Okay. But I'm going decades wise. And 80s had the Tigers. The Tigers were,
Yep.
top tier then. Late 80s, 90s, you had the Pistons hitting it off, and the Red Wings definitely took over 2000. But all our teams have, I think, gone downhill in general. Now, mind you, they're right. I don't follow everything I used to with sports. I used to follow baseball a lot more and hockey. Those are my two big ones. But I don't get to as much anymore. Do you think that people ever steer, or have you ever steered from your team because of that? I know there's that whole rule you don't, but do you ever just say, you know what, I love them because they're my home team, but this is the team I'm rooting for?
Oh, I say it every week.
Me too. It depends on my DraftKings.
Lately, yeah.
It depends on my DraftKings lineup. So I was like huge into that. So it just depended on what quarterback I had that day, what my team was.
What about you, Josh?
I think, especially as of late, the regime that running the Detroit Lions pretty much, all the smart fans hate them right now, so they actually are rooting for the Lions to lose so the regime goes away because we're just done with it. I have not rooted for them to win a single. Take that back. I took the spread last week. Okay, so unless I bet on them and I need them to win for money wise, I don't root for them, and it's not because I don't like them. It's because I want them to be better, right? And I think that them getting better, they have to lose now to get rid of the general manager, Quinn, who doesn't know how to draft players, and the coach who doesn't know how to coach the team that he has, or build a team for that matter. So I think it's just better for them to lose, so I root against them at this point.
So
you
you're
think-
kind of one of those that they ain't doing well, or they don't have the right staff behind them, then I'm going to find a team that does.
Do you think
Right, but-
COVID,
Well,
do you think COVID is doing a little bit of messing around with the people being to play and not being able to play? And
No, it's an equal playing field, so all teams are going through that, right? So the good teams are overcoming that. Why can't our team overcome that? It's just, no, it's an even playing field. I don't think COVID really has anything to do with whether they're good or bad. They're just bad.
That's what we're talking.
It comes down to upper management and coaching. I mean, we have a coach out there who's supposed to be a defensive guru and got a degree in rocket science, and he can't put together a defensive stop to save anything. It's a
They
shame.
need
It is.
yeah, they need a woman.
Maybe. Who
Well,
knows?
see, that's
Oh my God! For
that's
the first
but
time,
that's
Lenny,
the problem.
you're outranked on
That's
the
the
panel.
problem. The owner is a woman and she's clueless.
So
Yeah, she doesn't have a clue.
No,
I have to
no
ask. The
idea.
show's about devotion and undying devotion to your team and fam. And there's one particular person I obviously have to ask just because of the banner behind him. Joe, how does one stick with the Lions?
You know what? I don't know. Every year, usually end of the season, I'm going to change teams. I never do. I do have a second team that I love and follow, which is the Oakland Raiders. But
Las Vegas Raiders, sir. Las Vegas
man, don't do that to me. That hurts.
We have Brandon in the wings. He agrees
But
with you.
that is my other team I watch and follow. But I always stick Lions every year. I can't help myself. I get punished and I go back. And actually, I'm teaching my son how to be a Lions fan, so he gets tormented.
Well, I guess that's good because, a lot of schools are doing this thing. Everybody's a winner. If you teach him early to be a Lions fan, he'll
He'll
learn.
know what it's like.
He'll
Yes.
learn. I'm just saying. So that's probably a good thing on there. Now, how much does your obsession with football take over your life, Joe?
It doesn't. No,
Look around.
I have.
Make sure
I
she's
make
not
sure
listening.
I am involved with it every Sunday, every Saturday. If I'm working, usually my phone is on the game, watching it. I just pay attention to it all the time. I enjoy it. It's my relaxation.
Now, what about you, Josh? How do you think that your obsession? Do you have like an obsession? Do you think it kind of takes over your life sometimes?
Not takes over my life. I mean, no, it doesn't take over my life, but do is sports involved in my life for at least 2 or 3 hours every single day? Absolutely. But it's not taking over my life, whether it's, college football is on almost every day of the week. And being a gambler, when you gamble on things, you pay attention to games like Hawaii versus Tulsa and shit like that doesn't even make any sense because I don't know any players on those teams, but when money's on the line, you're a fan of somebody. So,
Well, money changes a lot of opinions on anybody, teams, for anything, sports, movie, doesn't matter what it is. Money
Yeah.
changes your impact on that. Bill's here. Of course, Bill says don't jump off that bandwagon just because your team is losing. And that's where I got to give it to Joe because he's still rooting for the Lions, and that's true. But there are a lot of people that do that. Their team is losing, and Josh, I guess you'd be kind of an example of that you kind of look for somebody who's got their shit together. How do you feel when one of your friends or a fellow fan does that? What is your reaction if their team is losing and they just jump to another team?
like I said, professional, fine. If you want to change teams, fine. But if you're going to change teams when they're losing and go pick a winner to follow somebody who's going to win, when the lovable loser that the Lions are, when they start winning, you're not allowed to come back. You are off that ship forever. You have to stick
I
with the
agree.
team.
I agree.
I
Stick
think that's
with
the
them
right
through
way to
thick
do
and
it.
thin.
We got the Go Irish from Wayne. Joe, you kind of looked funny at that comment. You got anything to say about it?
No, I agree with him 100%. Stick to them thick and thin. If you're going to jump off the wagon when they're losing, don't expect to be have a hand help back up onto the wagon.
Well, yeah,
And I'm
because
gonna
if you're
kick you
going to
out.
leave your team when they're losing and they start winning, you can't suddenly be buried back on there. I agree.
Yeah,
What about
exactly.
you, Lenny? Because we've talked about their favorite teams and switching over. What about you? Do you ever
Who?
jump that bandwagon?
Who are you talking to?
You, Lenny.
You.
Oh, me? I mean, I like all of our Detroit teams, but yes, I do jump around because I play fantasy football, and Detroit's not my favorite. I would say probably I am in love with the Steelers, Ben Roethlisberger, and when Antonio Brown was there, loved it.
Yeah, they were fun to watch.
Now, Lenny, I asked them obviously about taking over your life. Has it done that with you? Have there been any points it's done that with you? Because it's unique to have female sports fans out there that it does take over their life. They're definitely out there, but they're a smaller majority.
Football
So
did.
you-
Like, seriously, football did, because I did my fantasy football all the time. I was obsessed with it. I had to see who was doing what and how they were playing and everything else and pick my teams, and I wanted to win at it, so because again, you're winning some money. But that was a big part of it. And then I got into, because my boyfriend John lives in Ann Arbor, all the Michigan games. So then I started watching a whole lot of the Michigan games I didn't really follow a whole lot of college football. And then I started to do that. And then I got a little obsessed with that. But
Yeah, go Bulldogs. Like that. And that's what we're talking about. We got the Go Irish.
Hey,
we got Go Bulldogs. Yeah,
Bill,
you know him, Lenny.
hi, Bill. Yep, go Bulldogs. Exactly.
This is your chance. And that's what it is. It's sticking with your team. And Wayne, like he said here, he's an Irish fan until he dies, and you should be. You should still be a fan. Now, I think there's a difference in following your team and being a fan of the team. So where is that line that you can't come back? You feel? Because you can still be a fan of the team but follow a different team, because let's face it, people like to watch a team that is good and is winning and does a good job when they're playing. So where is that line that you can't come back? Because I can still be a fan of, Joe, what was your other team besides
I like the Raiders, and actually I like the Steelers. Those are my two teams I like
Yes,
to follow
I
because
love you,
they're
Joe.
hard and gritty.
Definitely.
They're
Yes.
hard and gritty football teams, and I love them.
Exactly.
And I love them from the 80s and the 70s when they were really gritty. That's what got me to like them.
So Bill Fuller and I we went to school together.
Okay.
We graduated together. So hi,
good.
Bill.
Is there more to that? Oh, I was like, wait a minute.
I thought
It
there
started
was
so just like,
was going to continue.
Oh,
yeah, like,
I can
so
ma-
Bill
I
and
can
I,
make
we went
shit
to
up.
school together. we
Wayne and I
graduated
drink at the
together.
bar every week together.
Men, they're all waiting for the little bit more.
Yes, we are. Now, where do you think the best place watching sports? Do you prefer, for all this panel, because I think it is different for everybody, do you prefer being alone in front of your TV with a beer in your hand? Do you prefer being in a crowded bar watching the game, or do you prefer kind of a party at home? Or do you like pissing everybody off while you're watching the game and they got to stay in the other room?
So Like, of course, if it's Super Bowl, then I want it to be a party.
Yes,
Well,
of
yeah,
course.
I'm just talking about your
Definitely.
standard games.
With me personally, like I like watching an Ohio State game here, especially if it's against Michigan State or Michigan. Michigan, every year I go down to Columbus and watch that game. I hang out on Short North. It's a great little party district. It's amazing to go down there and surround myself with other fans. But I do like going to the bar and being around people to watch Michigan and Michigan State because I'm rooting against them, right? And there's nothing
Yeah.
better than seeing my friends' sad faces when their team is just getting obliterated. So yes, I do prefer to be in public. Typically, when I'm watching football games.
Now, you say that's great when they're getting obliterated. What about when it works in reverse?
Yeah.
What is,
Well, we don't. My team doesn't lose much, so it's very rare. Very rare.
He does have a
that
point.
yeah, he does. So Bill says when your team gets knocked out of the finals, of course you're going to keep watching the winners. Now that I agree with. That's not what I meant. But I meant at the start of the season, you see your team's going nowhere. You're still a fan of the team, say, Joe and the Lions, but he's going to follow the other team more closely. And that's what I was asking about.
No,
Wayne
I
says,
still
go
make
ahead,
the
Joe.
Lions my first game, and I follow it just as intense as I do the when we're winning. I follow every single game, and I go back and analyze the plays throughout the game
so
and
you
say,
don't
okay, we should have
backburner
done
any
this.
So,
teams.
I have a
No,
question. I have a question for all you dudes
Yes.
out there.
Before you
if
do,
you
Wayne
were,
does say it's a lot more fun at the bar with friends, and I like the experience when the game's going on at the bar. Go ahead, Lenny.
you lie, you shut it off so you can sing.
No, like I like the experience
drink wine.
at the bar. I hate shutting it off. You know how much I fucking get booed when I shut off that shit? At a lot of these bars, they hate me. I'm the most hated man until I sing a song. But until then, they fucking hate me.
All right, so here's my question for all you dudes. If you were at a game, okay, because this happened a long time ago. If you're at a game and they are losing by a lot, say 3/4 of the way through, do you leave?
No,
Never.
Do you it never? You stay all the way
stay
through
till
it.
the end
All the way
after.
through,
Yeah,
yeah.
you stay
You don't
on.
want to get out of there and get in front of all the traffic and stuff like
No,
that?
No.
I
Yes.
have left the games, but not by my choice, and I've always wondered why people do that. Why not stick with the game till the end?
Well, I have a really good story on that one too. This was
Go ahead.
back in the 80s, and again we had these great seats sitting 50-yard lines at the Silver Dome when Barry Sanders and all of them were playing, and it was so cool. And it was myself, my ex-husband, and his dad, and they were losing by a lot. And he decided, the dad was like, I can't stay, I can't watch this anymore. So he leaves. And next thing you know, there was an onside kick, ran for a touchdown. Next thing you know, they kicked it and ran all the way back for a touchdown. In just like 3 minutes time, they won. And he missed all of it. He had to
That's what
hear
I'm
it.
always
He had to
thinking
hear
happens.
it.
That's why you don't leave.
Exactly.
That's why I've always wondered, but when I used to go to the games as a kid, the people I was with would leave if the team was down. So I didn't really have a choice in that, but I've never understood why, because the greatest moments in sports history a lot of times happen in the last few minutes of the game.
Yeah, it was crazy. It was just nutty. Yep. So half of the stands left, and we all sat there watching one of the best endings of a game I've ever seen. It was so fun. It was awesome.
Now
yeah.
so nobody else does that. Now we're talking about football mainly. What about
Yeah.
the experience? We don't have a lot of basketball playing fans, right? Basketball fans here. Now, do you
I
like playing the game?
basketball.
Yeah, that's what I was
Yeah,
going to say.
I definitely enjoy playing it. I just think that the direction that the NBA has gone has just made it unwatchable for with a lot of the social things that are going on. I know a lot of them mean a lot to different people, but I just think that putting it in our face, like you're politicizing a sport that we watch.
That's
to
happening
kind of-
with every sport.
Yeah,
Ugh.
that's
But
true.
Yeah, but
basketball more than
basketball's
the
getting
others,
really
yes.
bad.
And I mean, it's all over the courts, it's all over their jerseys, it's all over everything. And so, a lot of times sports is our getaway from the
Right.
daily,
Right.
lives and, whatever. So when it's drilled in your face again while you're watching your sports, it just gets a little bit annoying. And I choose to switch the channel. I just can't even do it anymore.
That's a well thought out comment there, Wayne. I agree. Now,
So,
the reason
wait.
I brought. Oh, go ahead.
Who's the best basketball
Thanks,
player?
Wayne. Michael
Who do
Jordan.
you think? Yeah, I think so too. I love him.
Michael Jordan.
I would have. I would have married him.
Although I was a Cavs fan growing up, so he put a dagger to my heart a few times in the Eastern Conference Finals. So I hated him, but he was amazing.
He
Now,
did
the
it to
reason-
everyone.
The reason I asked about basketball, going pre-COVID and the political issues associated with it right now, there's a big difference in watching a game on TV, playing a game, and going to a game in person. Now, if you're not a fan of basketball and somebody said, "Here's tickets, you want to go," would you turn that down?
I would go.
I have turned
You
it
have.
down. Yeah.
See, I won't, because I think every sport, whether I like it or not, I probably wouldn't go to see golf live. But as far as all the major four,
I
all the
love
big
golf.
four there.
I've been to a few golf events.
Have you?
Yeah,
Now,
I would
I'm
go
going to get
golf.
to that in a minute because I'm really curious about golf. Bill, by the way, says Wilt Chamberlain is his
Yeah.
favorite basketball player
He
of all
was
time.
7 feet tall and everyone else was 5'9". Yes, he was good because he's the first tall basketball player ever. So,
Which made him the best. Okay. On that. So you definitely would. You would still go to the game, but you would turn them down, Lenny. Now, why? 'Cause
Well, I
think a
have.
lot of times, even for non-sports fans out there, the excitement of being at a game is just it's tremendous. It's unique. It's a unique experience.
Well, back
go
when
to.
I did, I just had so many of my customers that had season tickets, and I just had other things I'd rather do. Now,
Kobe.
if it would have been a football game, if it would have been a football game, I probably would not have passed it up.
Because I'm like
But-
that with baseball. Now, mind you, when I was a kid, I loved watching baseball on TV. Pardon me. But I'm not a big fan watching it now. I find it kind of boring to watch on TV most of the time. But I would not ever miss a baseball game. Like, I love seeing them in person.
Live.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, I used to, just like you, as a kid, I watched baseball all the time, watch the Tigers all the time, and now it's boring to me. It's not the same. But to go to a live game, just the outdoor game, is just beautiful.
You're being called out, Josh. Bill Russell, Artis Gilmore, and many others were tall, too. I'm assuming that's what he's referring to.
I was making a joke, but I mean, watch that.
Well, don't
Watch
piss
some-
Bill off. What were you saying?
Who?
You, Josh. Before I said don't piss Bill off. But okay, but he was talking about, he was just making a joke about them being tall and stuff. And I think the live experience is good. Now, what is the obsession? I've got to ask mostly for Josh for this. What's the obsession with golf?
Well, I'm an avid golfer. I play, during the summer and the nice months, even when it's 40 degrees outside, if the sun's out, I'll go out and play golf. So playing it as much as I do, I can never get really good, but I can play well. But I'm just fascinated by how well the golfers that
people
I watch
play.
on TV, they're so good, right? Which is why, people are, "Oh, you're a golfer. Are you any good?" I was like, if I was good, I'd be on television because they are just so much better than anyone that I know. You know what I mean? And it's ridiculous some of the courses that they play and how hard it is and how they can still go a weekend and be 20 under par. It's unreal. So it's just fascinating to me how far they can hit the ball and with such preciseness that it's more of a
Bill says who else has scored 100 points in a game? Nobody. Translation.
There's no
Booyah.
evidence, Bill. There's just a picture of him holding a sign, and then there's no video evidence.
Now,
To touch on what Josh was saying about
go
golf,
ahead. I was gonna
I
ask you
love
about it.
golf. Unlike Josh, I'm an awful golfer, but I love golfing. I love being out there, 6 a.m, teeing off, that sun coming up, being out in the open. It's just beautiful. It's such a refreshing, relaxing day.
Well,
And
the
I can do
atmosphere is awesome.
2 full rounds in a day comfortably
Oh, yeah.
and just have fun
Yeah,
and
you
not
get-
think about it.
Drink
And then I'll
beer,
go
smoke
watch it on
weed.
TV.
Yeah, it's
Do
great.
whatever.
You like watching
Exactly.
it on TV?
I like watching it on TV. I just watched the Masters this week, which was Johnson just did amazing with what he ended up with a -20, I think.
Yeah.
Which is just
You know,
incredible.
you guys are right. I love watching Happy Gilmore.
Combining golf and hockey.
And-
Exactly.
I'm surprised they haven't actually done that yet.
That's the way I golf.
That was
Just
my
not as good.
favorite.
Not intentionally, but as I do. See, with me, golf has always been lost on me for a game. I've played it a couple times. I'm not obviously good at it, but I've just never understood the concept. You get this white ball and you hit it as far as you can, and you keep chasing the ball, and you're not satisfied until you've lost it down a hole 18 times in a row. And then you finally give
Sounds
up.
fun.
Like, okay. But I agree, the outdoor atmosphere. is good. William here, or Bill, as you know, baseball and football are the best. Now, see, hockey is the best for me. Hockey is my favorite sport. However, I would rather go to a baseball game or a football game than I would a hockey game. And I don't know why that is. I think most of the time going to the hockey games, they were boring. They weren't as exciting.
Because it's
as
so
it appears.
fast, maybe.
That might
don't
be
know.
partly why, but I love the atmosphere. I didn't like it the same with the hockey game. It could also be the fact that it's indoors. Like a lot of times when I was at the baseball game and stuff, it was always outdoors or football
Yeah.
games. Wayne's asking if we ever been to a Vegas hockey game in Vegas. Holy shit! What? I have not. I'm not aware of that. What is that? Anybody know?
Well,
It's
the Vegas
probably the
hockey-
new Vegas Knights.
The Golden Knights play. Yeah. The Golden Knights play out in Vegas. I've never. the only
Supposedly,
games I've ever
it's a
been
heck of a show.
to. Yeah.
Well, Wayne,
it's
tell
it's
us about
it's
it.
like a Broadway show, from
Yeah.
what I hear.
Oh, is it really?
yeah.
yeah.
They put on a huge show.
It's
apparently,
they do the whole Vegas experience.
Yeah.
That sounds interesting. Well, I'm curious about that right now. We've got something else going on here. We've got a special guest comedian that's actually going to perform for us tonight. Briefly, well, I'm not saying he's good. I'm not saying he's not. We're going to find out. No, of course he is. It's actually our very own Brandon. Brandon, how you doing tonight?
What's up, everybody?
Yo.
You guys didn't do any entertainment in the middle for a while, so I figured we should do this, Chris.
We usually do them on the Wednesday shows to lighten the mood because our Sunday shows are much lighter and Wednesdays are
True.
darker.
True.
But
well,
you know,
I
probably
probably
for a
shouldn't
comedy
do.
routine.
Yeah, I probably shouldn't do comedy at a dark topic.
Hey, that's what this channel's about. We're about blending our feelings with humor
Fair.
because it's very important. So, Brandon, how long have you been doing stand-up?
A little over a year now. Started. Almost a year and a half now. Started back in May a year ago, and it's been scary, fun. The pandemic kind of ruined it for a lot of things. But
Have you been
it's-
still able to perform at all with the pandemic going on, like online or any other way?
So I actually can't bring myself to do the online stuff. Usually, I mean, I'm gonna try this because it's not like a bunch of comics trying to pretend it's an open mic on like
Yeah.
Zoom. That's just weird.
I got to give you credit because, from my understanding as comedians, what you're about to do is one of the hardest things to do if you're a comic.
Yeah,
is-
trying to do it with no immediate reation to a crowd. This could be
Yeah.
interesting.
It's just, it will be.
But that's
I'm
how
sure
much
it's
I
gonna be
want to
great.
do it.
Well, you know what? We're going to let you at it in just 1 second. When we get back, we're going to talk a little bit more about how, of course, your sports addictions have affected your family and why they hate you. So, we'll be back with that in a minute. But, Brandon, go ahead and take it away.
All right, what's up, everybody? First of all, I actually do enjoy watching golf because one, it makes me want to do it like really bad, and two, there's something so beautiful about watching live on the Masters Mickelson slowly melt down. Like when he put that crap into the trees and then he tried to get out of that and it hit a tree, went 40 yards behind him, and he just tried to stay calm. And he finally shanked it out of the trees. It's going towards the green and right into the water. And he just loses his mind. Anyway, I'll get into it. My favorite sport personally is actually MMA, mixed martial arts. Now I'm gonna like kind of educate some people because I always hear people interchange MMA and UFC. I'm gonna straighten that out now. MMA stands for mixed martial arts, and that is the sport. And UFC is Ultimate Fighting Championship. That's like the number one elite league. Like MMA would be to UFC as football is to NFL, right? Or like MMA is porn, and like the UFC would be Pornhub, and then like Bellator and One Champion, that would be like Brazers and X Video. I love that one. Anyway, did you guys see that Oregon is actually the first state to decriminalize small amounts of cocaine? It's pretty dope.
Did see
And in a completely unrelated story, the entire Oregon Ducks football team broke the NCAA record for the 40-meter dash. So that's pretty cool. This is so freaking weird. I'm watching this Mandela thing behind me, like just trying not to get high. And as you all know, like the reason I'm doing this is because starting Wednesday, Michigan's restrictions are getting worse again. Most of the state thought that this was because the COVID cases were rising. But when asked, Governor Whitmire just said that Michigan and Michigan State did so bad she had to lock this shit down for a while. So
That could be riot causing.
It could be.
That's true.
well, it's better to lock everybody inside. So today was a wild day for me. I encountered in the wild. I encountered a Karen, and this was like a level 20 Karen. I like to like give a level to the Karens I meet from 1 to 50. So like 1 would be like, I never do this. I'm so sorry, but I ordered it without onions. Could I get it remade, but without onions? I'm so sorry. And like 50 would be like, I'm never coming back here again, and just like dropping your pants and shitting on the floor. So I gave this Karen a number 20.
I did see that video.
Yes. I didn't want to see that video.
Twice.
You know what's bad is there more than one of that video, and it's just the worst. Anyway, so this Karen was at level 20. I'll explain what happened and see if you guys agree with me. 20 out of 50. First she didn't send the food back, but she was just like everyone else around that was eating. She was by herself, and she was just out loud telling everybody how she was so mad that her burger was overcooked. And like everyone's just trying to like, okay, yeah, no, that sucks. All right, just like ignore her. And then the thing that put me over the edge was she asked the manager to carry all of her food to a new table because there was a draft at her table. So some of you are probably thinking like 20 is kind of high for that, right? Like you see people move tables all the time. Reason I gave her 20, this was a McDonald's. It was a good time. I had fun. This is the weirdest experience I've ever had trying to tell jokes. But I don't know. I thought it went all right. I just really wanted to get that Karen joke out, so I'm glad that I got
So we were
to do
your
that.
test audience for the
We
Karens.
appreciate that.
Did you guys like the Karen one? I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the Karen was cute. I like that.
And just to
It was
be
good. It
fair,
is-
the ESVs released the Karen. She actually is not even on the Karen scale because Keith, you and her got food and they like made it wrong, and you guys just rolled with it and ate it anyway. That's
I
not
don't give
even
a shit
on
if
the
it's
level
edible.
of
I'm
Karen.
not wasting shit. I'm not wasting
Right.
shit.
That's
Okay,
how it's
why
supposed
do
to
you-
be.
I found
Why
it
do
more
you-
funny that you're dining in at McDonald's.
I'm an intellectual.
Why do you call it the Karen? Why do you
So-
call it the Karen?
I don't know. It's just kind of become an internet thing for the last like year that any like soccer
Obnoxious
mom,
woman.
woman that's just like,
Obnoxious
let me speak to
complainer.
your manager. I have had it. I am fed up. That is just like a Karen now. Like the
I
internet's
shouldn't
just
have to
rolled with
wait.
that. Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you, Brandon, we appreciate you doing that. Those that don't know, obviously, doing any kind of comedy routine is extremely hard without an audience. So
It's weird.
and, I give you credit. Yeah, it's
Dude,
you
that
can't
was-
even-
That was more uncomfortable than when I try and do it in the mirror by myself.
I was just gonna say.
I was
how
just
do you
gonna say that
practice?
too.
Are we still talking about comedy?
The only way to
Yeah.
practice is so like that's the
I
problem.
wanted to put this up just because I wanted to give you a heckler really quick.
Yeah, I knew old Glory Hole was gonna have something to say about this.
You had to definitely. I'm going to keep you on for a second, Brandon, because I'm curious. You said your MMA is like your sport there. What got you into MMA?
So yeah, I don't know. Just since like 5 years ago, there was something about MMA where it took the team part out of it. It was just one-on-one, and it was so just at the most raw level. It's who wants it more, like just who will give more, and like that one-on-one competition I always loved. The storylines of each fighter and what's on the line going in is just so much more raw than any like team versus team in any league.
So
I
it's-
just fell in love with that.
So it's like bowling.
Exactly like bowling. What?
It took me years to figure out they were separate sports. Honestly,
Yeah.
idea. PBA, MMA. What's the fucking difference? I can't tell.
Yeah.
You know.
All
there.
all the letters.
So, do you strive to be an a mixed martial artist? Is that something
No,
that you do?
working out's not really my thing. So, but I did do a podcast about it with my buddy for like 2 years, and it ended up like to where we got to interview like actual fighters and stuff. the California kid. He might be talking about Tito Ortiz. He didn't get the nickname right, but that's fine. Unless you're talking about Uriah Faber, in which case that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, no, we did this podcast. We got to interview like actual ranked UFC fighters. We did 2 shows a week. It was just like so time consuming. And I would say that like MMA takes up a lot of my time. Like
That's what I was gonna say. Do you got kind of now? Do you have an obsession with it? Like we're talking, like are your walls covered with MMA stuff? Do you just are you interested in the people that perform it?
Yeah, no, it's more the
Walking
time
through?
consumed watching because it seems like it's almost always every weekend, every Saturday night. So Uriah Faber, yeah,
Do you watch the girl fights too? I like the girl
absolutely, yeah. No, they're dope. Amanda Nunes might be my favorite fighter of all time.
fights. Nice.
I got to meet Stipe Miocic, heavyweight champ, and he was so cool that he'll probably always be my favorite. But as far as watching a fight, I love Amanda Nunes. But yeah, it's the kind of thing where like my girlfriend will be like, "Is this gonna be every weekend? Is this life 6 hours? Really? 6
We're
hours?
about
You
to
don't
get into that.
you don't miss
aspect.
any of them? Yeah. So
Okay, now you don't get to play, or you don't get to do the MMA, obviously, because working out's a bitch. I get that. Anybody else, their favorite sport, have they taken it to reality? Have they played sports, not even professionally, but maybe in high school? Did they get into it or college?
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
right, so-
almost everything.
So
but
let's
hockey.
start. Okay, everything but hockey, really?
Yeah. Well, I grew up in Ohio. We didn't have a hockey team, and hockey wasn't. If you're born in Ohio, you're born to play football. That's what you do.
Yep.
So football was number one, of course. I started playing that when I was 9, flag football, until I was 11. That's when you can start playing contact football. But baseball was big too, but nowhere near as big as football was. So not till I got up here did I play anything else but football. So, and I couldn't skate, so I never could play hockey because I didn't even know what ice skates were until I moved to Michigan. So by that
Is
point,
there any? Ohio doesn't have a hockey team, but
they do. They do now. The Columbus.
They do now.
Blue
yeah,
Jackets.
they do.
Yeah.
Blue Jackets.
Was there any? Did people still play hockey though? Was it even a thought of sport, or was it just
No,
kind of a
there
background
was
sport?
there was
Nobody watched it.
wasn't
Nobody
really
played
any
it.
youth hockey, anything in Ohio when I was growing up.
Okay, back when
Back
Bill
then,
and Matt were inventing baseball.
Back then, Bill was a pitcher. Now he's a catcher.
You should have done that with the heckle. I thought that might have been coming too. I thought that might have been coming. Anyway. What about you, Lenny? You said yes. You also played. What sport did you get into?
Oh, I played every sport that anything that was competitive as a kid, anything that I could beat all the boys at. So if I could have played football, if they would have let me play football, I would have played football. But
When you were a kid, yeah, that was probably
no.
unheard of.
No, but I played softball and ran track and played basketball and dodgeball and gym.
Oh,
Just
I used
kidding.
to murder
No.
kids.
That's the whole point of
But-
dodgeball.
But then ultimately, I am a professional show jumping horse rider and trainer and judge. So that became my job. So I've done that
That's
my
still
whole
sports, too.
life.
Now, are you into horse racing or anything like that?
No.
No, just the
I mean-
show horses.
Yeah, I don't really care for the horse racing all that much because they start the horses off at such a young age that their bodies aren't even developed enough that they're going to ruin them by doing what they do with them at the
No.
age that they do that at.
Now, have you seen that in person? I mean, like, how bad really is it? Because I've heard that horse racing is such a barbaric sport when it comes to the way they treat those horses.
It can be even my industry can be terrible. So there's a few bad seeds that make it bad for a lot of people, but there's a whole lot of drugging horses and stuff to make them perform better. And I knew one professional that actually brought in a whole bunch of horses that were going to go to slaughter and used all different kinds of drugs on them to see what would work that would be non-detectable at our shows. Then I've also had experience with different professionals and with insurance fraud and where they kill the horse these are hundreds of thousands of dollars of animal that you're dealing with. So if it's not performing, then they would execute it in some sort of way, or barn fire, or there's a whole lot of things. There's a book called I think it's called Hot Blood or something like that, and it's about it was about the Brock, the Candy Lady, her murder, and it all intertwined with our horse industry in Chicago. And I still know a lot of these people that were involved in that.
You know, people often don't
kinda
know what
crazy.
happens behind the scenes, especially when it comes to animal sports.
Yeah,
So what
we.
did you play? Go ahead.
Well, I played baseball and football, and then, when I was really young, ice hockey with going with my cousins down. We had a little pond we always went to, and we played at. But baseball and football, I always had fun doing. Then when I got out of school, just a lot of rec fun. Get together, group of 10 guys, go out on Sunday morning before the games and play football. Just it's great fun.
Now, I've always wondered. I want to get this comment from Bill really quick. He was scouted by the Reds in the 11th grade, played semi-pro till he screwed up his knee pitching. You've got quite a story there, Bill.
It sucks.
Yeah, I mean, those who watch the show, Bill's on a lot of times, and he's got amazing backstories on a lot of stuff. And every time I think he's full of shit, he can back it up really well. So I'm always impressed by that. Sometimes he is full of shit. Don't get me wrong. Now, Joe, I have a question. Out of curiosity, because you are obviously my brother. I don't remember you playing football in high school, but
Yeah, last year, senior year.
did you? I know
Yep.
you did tennis, but
Oh, tennis too. I forgot about
I
that.
love tennis. Tennis is my favorite sport to actually play. I love playing tennis. Actually, it's second. Number one is racquetball. I love playing racquetball, but that's not
Oh,
just the same
yeah.
kind of sport. But tennis, I love tennis. I just can never find anybody who knows how to play tennis. Now, Joe, we grew up in this household of women.
I could play tennis.
Yes.
I can figure it out.
How
Not
did you?
If it
how
involves
did
a
you?
ball, I can play.
Yeah.
Really?
Or balls.
I'm sorry.
Balls, shafts,
Things
whatever.
we learned about our
Wow.
panelists.
Look at
Joe,
all that racket.
How was it trying to get into sports? Because our family growing up, the only time sports was on TV was if our uncles came over. And even then,
no.
they were bitched at for it.
They were. And it was like when Uncle Tommy and Uncle Donnie came over and they wanted to watch football. It was a fight to get it on. But we always ended up winning and get to watch the sports. Eventually, Grandma got into watching sports a lot too. She watched the football and rooted for the Lions all the time. Mom, not so much. She never was a real sports fan.
I think Grandma was definitely getting in with her sons because it was a way to communicate, especially with Uncle Tommy and her brother, Uncle Donnie, at the time. Bill here, he played football and baseball all the way through school and even tried out for the Tigers travel team. That's good. And hopefully you had what kind of success you had with that.
I didn't even
That's
know
good.
that, Bill. I mean, I knew you played football. I knew you played in high school. I didn't know about the travel team. That's awesome.
And that's a 42-ounce Long Island. Oh, here we go again, Bill.
Nice.
Yeah, do you got that in front of you again? I hope you do. Okay, so what about the family effect of sports? Did I mention when we were kids, sports wasn't really allowed. Eventually it was overruled, like during Thanksgiving or big holiday meals and stuff like that, because we were a household of women. Me and my brother were raised by my mother and my grandmother. So we were. Now, has there ever been an effect on your relationships, wives, or anything like that with sports? Did you ever have that big fight moment that you pretty much said, hey, no, if I got to choose between you and sports, I'll call you on the weekends?
No, that's known early in the relationship that sports are a factor. If we're not into it, sports together,
Yes.
then we're probably not going to be very compatible.
So is your wife into sports?
My wife is soccer coach. She watches football. She loves the Red Wings. She coaches soccer. So she's into sports.
So she's
Not as
into-
much
so-
as me, but she'll watch sports with me.
Okay, what about you, Josh? Did you have that all with your wife or anything like that?
Um,
Assuming you're married.
we do fight quite often about my golfing habit. And my golf trips that I have to take, and but
Well, that's a different story there. The golf
I mean,
trips.
she knows that I love golf more than I love her. So I mean, it doesn't, I mean, she gets it. Like, but
Well, it
but
is
yeah,
for a lot of people. It's the escape, and everybody's got their own version of it. And as much as sometimes the wives complain, they got their own versions of escape too
Yeah,
on there that they
yeah.
can do.
I mean, her escape is doing the dishes and doing stuff like that. So
Yeah, she
I mean,
gets-
I don't bother
I mean,
her
she
when
doesn't
she's
even
doing the
get
dishes. I mean,
The
whatever.
whole time you're watching that game and stuff like that, she can have the whole kitchen to herself.
Exactly.
She can chill, do what she wants to do, and stuff like that. How's it feel to be outranked, Lenny? Usually I've got more females on this panel than males, so it feels
No,
kind of good for
but
a
see,
change.
I'm more like a dude with boobs on this show right now because I feel exactly the same way as you. She should be, cooking and cleaning and putting a party together
Here,
for
I'm gonna-
you
I'm
and
gonna
your
give-
friends.
I'm gonna
for-
give you Nina's phone number. You can text.
Yeah.
her.
Right, exactly.
You
Can I
tell my
record
wife that.
this for my girlfriend?
she should be planning the party so you can have your friends over to watch the game. That would be a good wife.
I feel like if I
She
can
is a good
watch
party
my
planner.
fights
We
every
need to have
weekend,
a
if you have to watch every episode of Great American or British Bake Off or whatever, like it's gotta be some kind of compromise.
Oh my God, it's those shows they watch too. They always act like they don't have the addiction and stuff with sports when it comes to like True TV and Investigation
Or
Discovery
Lifetime,
and stuff like that.
or Hallmark.
Yeah.
Bachelorette.
Like
Oh
that,
my God,
they
I
got
hate
the
that.
same damn fucking problem.
She'll be like, I can't believe you spend so much time watching that and then watch 2 seasons of a sewing show.
I think officially, Lenny, by the way, your name should be Dude with Boobs. I like that.
Dude,
Dude with Boobs. Bill's not drinking tonight either. Bill says his wife likes watching sports, and that's good. Does anybody else besides, well, Joe, you said she likes watching them, but do you ever really watch them together, or is your
No,
wife
not
around?
usually.
Is your wife around?
No.
Okay. Do you ever get annoyed trying to watch it?
Yeah.
Do you ever
Yes.
have to explain? Okay.
No, I don't. I don't. Nice thing is, I don't have to explain. She understands sports pretty well, so there's nothing I have to explain to her. She's a huge hockey fan, huge Red Wings fan, so that's good. And she,
That's what I
listen,
like.
she's been around sports her whole life.
yeah. Did she play sports?
Yeah, she played soccer until she had a severe knee injuries and put her out. That's why she coaches now, and she's
Yeah.
been coaching for 20-some years.
I think that's a big thing. So if a dude really likes his sports, he should probably date a girl that likes sports and
You have to.
and doesn't like to sew.
You have to.
I
Seriously.
think that's important. Bill says women would always say, "Yeah, I love sports. Go to the bar and disappear on the dance floor." They're just saying that to get to the fucking bar, Bill,
Yep.
because that's how
Yeah.
they get you to take them out.
Yep.
That's really the only reason they're saying it to you. But you're falling for it, so that's good. Because you can go to the bar anyway without them. You don't have to take them.
Yeah, don't take them to the bar. Take them to a game.
But I get lonely.
Take them to a live game.
Who else? Has anybody tried to get their significant involved in the sport, watching it with them?
Yeah.
I've gotten Ashley into MMA. Like once I got her to watch it a little bit. I knew she would get invested in the little storylines, and that's how I knew I'd get her. Because if she can watch sewing, I'll be like, look at this background, and she'll get invested in the fight.
So you get invested in storylines or stuff. How do you feel like about WWE and WWF back in the day?
I can't because I know there's strings being pulled. Like there's
I thought you were talking about storylines.
there's a script. Yeah, no, like
It's a fucking soap opera.
I would
It's our
like
soap opera.
I would watch it, but I enjoy it the way I enjoy a movie. There's not the actual stakes of like one of us, like we don't know who's going to win this.
I
like,
get that
until it's over.
MMA. I get that MMA and UFC are definitely more dangerous and real compared to that. But I was just curious. Like, you never really followed wrestling?
I remember watching Kane when I was a kid, but it was so hard to get that channel because we had to like jab a bent hanger into the TV just to get it. And I'd see Kane and then it would go static. So I just gave up on WWE.
I had the same problem with the Spice Channel. It was always coming in all squiggly and.
Yeah, you just hold the bunny ears and then like hold the hanger.
That's not why it came in squiggly. I remember Spice. My God, I haven't heard that channel in
Squiggly
years.
porn.
I remember Spice.
That's a tit. That's a tit. I saw a tit.
I saw a nipple.
So what do you think is the most dangerous sport?
You mean intended for danger or not? Like, because if you're including like UFC out there and boxing, obviously those are gonna be up there.
Yeah,
Those
those
are
are
intended
gladiator
dangerous.
sports. Yeah,
Yeah.
Those I would say are probably more dangerous because there's not so much protection other than.
What about
some little gloves.
NASCAR?
So I was thinking like
No.
IndyCar when you're in
Yeah,
an open
NASCAR.
wheel car.
Yeah.
I don't
Really,
know.
yeah.
Those cars are so protected now, though. I mean, it's amazing what they do with them. I have to say, like boxing or MMA has got to be the
Yeah, I would
So
agree.
boxing's
boxing's actually a little bit worse because when it comes to trauma to the head, quantity is worse
concussions
than
and
quality.
that, yeah.
True.
So in a
Football.
boxing fight, you're just taking way
Yeah,
more shots.
football takes a toll.
Yeah,
Man.
that's true. It might be the worst.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
you got a 250-pound guy running into a 220-pound guy. That's like a car accident.
And it's
You know,
about
especially- yeah.
that quantity too, the amount of times in one game that
Yeah.
you're getting hit. That adds up.
Personally, I think it's golf. Fat guy, hot
Depends
sun,
on how
long
bad
walks,
you are and,
know,
and who's
heart
on the
attack.
next fairway. Yeah, I've been
Yeah.
hit by a golf ball from another fairway, so and trust me, I get it. It's dangerous.
I saw this video. I saw this video of this woman that was in like the WPGA or whatever they call it, and she shanked it into the crowd twice in a row on the opening drive of the thing, and they're like, "Please stop."
That's being serious. Coaching Little League Baseball was great. By the way, Bill, love you're starting the conversation with being serious. Kids learning sportsmanship. Your wife coaches, Joe. You said that she coaches
Yes.
soccer and stuff like that. There's a lot of gratification with being able to teach kids and get kids to learn. Has anybody taught any kids like broad scope or their own kids? Obviously, you want to get your kids into it.
My
I
whole
coached for a
life.
while. Yeah.
You coach.
I'm
football?
interested in coaching football and coaching like little league football. That's something I want to try to start doing in probably next couple of years, just when I
That'd
got
be
more
cool.
free time.
How old's your son now?
3.
So yeah, that'll be good. You can definitely start.
Oh, I'm
getting
already
on
teaching
this.
him how to tackle, so
You're teaching him how to lose. Go Lions.
you're right.
So that's good. That's definitely important. Rugby has some hard hits. I didn't. Think
Oh
about
yeah,
rugby.
yeah,
Yeah.
No pads either.
yeah.
None.
Yeah, but they're like their gene, like the way that they work out, they just become helmets. Like they are just walking
they're
helmets.
Neanderthals. Yeah.
Nuts.
Calloused
Most dangerous
heads.
gator wrestling. I guess we can go that route. I'm not going to say you're wrong. I will not say
enough.
you're wrong. But if you're going down that route, you can go bullfighting too and stuff like that. There's
Oh
Yeah.
yeah,
yeah.
I thought Lenny was gonna say the most dangerous was bowling.
What
bowling.
about
Knock that
same
ball
as
in.
Johnny? How when people watch horse shows and horse jumping, it looks so graceful. How dangerous really is it?
If you don't know what you're doing, it is probably could kill you easily,
Yes.
like anything else. I mean, paralyze you or
Have you
Yeah.
seen any experiences like that? I mean,
Yes,
have
yeah.
you seen it firsthand?
yes, a 12-year-old girl that was at the Kentucky Horse Park horse show was doing a jumper class. And jumper classes are speed classes. They're different than the slow artsy stuff that you see. But anyway, she was just going too fast, and her horse, an in and out is 2 jumps within a short 2 strides between 2 jumps. Okay. The horse jumped in and stopped on the out, and the kid flew over its head. She didn't get hurt at that point. She didn't let go of the reins, and the horse was trying to get itself out of all of the poles. And as it was doing that, it pulled her into the poles, and it stepped on her. And we all ran out there. She was about 12 years old, and at that point, she wet herself. At that point, paramedics and stuff all came, and she died on her way to the hospital. So
Oh,
it was horrible.
So you've definitely dealt with some of the
Yeah, and
the
even
tragedy
watching
associated.
the
How common
Christopher-
is that?
You know what? If at a good level and a good trainer, not common at all. If you put the wrong person on the wrong horse, could be very dangerous. So it's really important to have a good trainer. But yeah,
horses-
Christopher Reeve is a prime example. That man should
Yes.
have never been doing what he was doing. I watched the video before they took the video off, and he was a beginner jumping jumps that didn't fall down. And when that horse stopped, he went over its head and landed on his head and shoulders.
Is there Bill says also snake wrangling, which can also be dangerous, granted, but we're trying to go kind of the non-wrestling animal sports here.
I've been snake wrangling since I was 5, if you know what I mean. So I'm a pretty
Oh,
good
yeah.
snake wrangler myself.
Hell, me and Joe did that, our cousins.
It can be dangerous. You
did
gotta
all
watch
the
your
time.
aim.
Yeah. I was told I would go blind.
Do horses have temperament problems the same way? Can
Oh,
your
yeah.
horse just go
Oh,
and
yeah.
suddenly be against you? And
On
is
the on the most
Right.
part, if you're an animal person like a dog or anything else, it all has to do with how they have been handled and trained. And now there's a handful. I've only come across 1 or 2 that were not trainable because of some bad experience maybe that they had early on. I don't know, but typically it has to do with that. Hey, there's Tony.
Hi,
Tony's a
Tony.
big-
Glad to see you.
Tony is a huge baseball fan.
Is he? That's good. Joe, I know
Yeah.
you weren't able to be on this that long. I know you got to get going. I just want to say we appreciate actually having you on the show. It's been great talking to you.
Well, thanks for having me. Had a great time. Look
Yeah.
forward to going on a few more shows.
Hi, Joe.
Yeah,
Bye.
we'll
See you later.
again soon. Take care.
See ya.
So, always good conversations about that. Tony is into baseball. Is anybody more? George the Animal Steel. Jan.
Yeah.
Oh my god, that takes me way back. Arguing. Oh, dangerous sport right there. Arguing with your mother-in-law. Without question. See, Bill sometimes gets a little off and he just starts saying random shit. We let him go.
Cocaine's a hell of a drug.
Yeah. Definitely is.
Made a stop in Oregon.
Legal.
Just went full circle. That was beautiful.
We did.
I
That
love
was nice. That was nicely done. So, your coaching experience, Josh. What did you coach?
I coached middle school football for Lance Cruz, and then I coached basketball as well.
Is
So,
there one sport that you prefer over the other as far as coaching goes?
Football for sure, just because I played for so long and my knowledge is extensive. So
What position did you play?
I was a quarterback. Yeah, until I stopped growing, and then I couldn't play quarterback anymore. But yeah, I was always a quarterback, running back. The skill position was always my thing.
So
I can still throw a ball over those mountains over there too. So
we all did sports obviously when we were younger. That was the thing because we suffer from that getting older thing. Not you, Brandon.
I did too, but okay.
I'm sorry. Do you still try to play these sports anymore? Do you still continue to, aside from like golf? Because I think when you get older, moving on to stuff like golf becomes more common.
well, yeah, of course, golf you can play until you die, really.
Yeah.
But
Some
football,
do.
not really. Like I got into like a flag football league. This was a few years, maybe 10 years ago, and I just it's my body just won't hold up anymore. There's
Your
even though it's-
brain thinks it can do it.
Oh, no,
but your
I-
body
I
does
could-
not
Your
perform.
brain still feels like you're
I
21
could
years
do
old.
it,
Exactly.
But I was like, you start thinking of things like,
It
okay, do
hurts
I really
later.
wanna, like, I don't have good insurance, so maybe I shouldn't be playing football right now, or but I do play like volleyball, basically on a racquetball court, so it's volleyball on a racquetball
Yeah.
court. I play that, and I play around with the kids. Teaching my daughter, she's 13. I teach her how to play basketball, and when my son does get old enough, obviously I'm gonna start coaching again when he gets into sports. So I'm actually looking forward to that over the next couple of years. So pretty.
What
excited
about you,
that
Lenny?
to be
Aside
honest.
from the horses, have you
I'll
ever gotten? Go ahead.
have I ever gotten what? Do I still
No.
play things? I'll still
Yeah.
every once in a while play softball. And then I'll bowl sometimes, and then the riding of the horses. But
Is there
yeah.
any sport out there that any of you feel is not a fucking sport?
cheerleading.
Cheerleading. I'm surprised. Bill's ranting on again really quick. Darts, of course, is dangerous if they're drunk and you're standing by a dartboard like a fucking idiot. And whirly ball. Whirly ball's just the shit
Yeah, that's
for a
just
lot of
fun.
people. But that's kind of just a fun thing.
what
so-
wouldn't be a sport?
Yeah.
Not a
You said
sport.
cheerleading. I want to go to that. What you guys think of one? Why not cheerleading? I mean,
Well, because it's not competitive. Well, I guess it could be. if
It's
they're-
competitive, but there's a
Yeah.
judge, so it's I mean, granted, there's judges in like boxing and stuff like that too, but they're more keeping score, right? Instead of going, oh, that looked better than this, right? So when there's a judge, it's
So
so
Yeah.
how do you feel about like diving teams
Yeah.
or swimming?
Yeah, so it's
'Cause
like
that-
with
that's
that,
similar.
or like in the X Games with your skateboarding
See,
and
that's kinda where
snowboarding.
my
It's all
argument
like
gets-
technical
Or
gets
stuff.
destroyed.
gymnastics with the Olympics
Sure,
with the score.
right,
All right,
yeah,
go ahead, Josh. That's where your
But
argument is.
to me, it's always been sure it's a competition, it's an event, but I just don't. I don't know.
I'm just curious
Yeah.
why, because I know the athleticism is there for all those
Sure,
sports.
right.
You need it, and it is competitive. And I was surprised that you actually said cheerleading, because I mean I couldn't do it
Oh, you were
basically
a
because they're
cheerleader,
like
weren't
you
you?
are not getting on the top of our pyramid. And I'm like, smart move. Anybody else? Is there a sport that they feel is not really a sport? Because honestly, and I kind of feel that way about golf. And golf would actually follow the logic. You have with cheerleading as far as keeping score of things, and I think it is because I'm an
So-
independent personal. Now, golf enjoyable to play, different story. Because definitely enjoyable. I get
Well,
that.
it gets down this line of like, all right, when does it stop becoming a sport? Because like golf kind of becomes so leisurely, and then it's like bowling. It's like, okay, well, we're keeping score as we do this thing, but then you could go all the way to like, oh, okay, is poker a sport? Like you're still keeping score and everything, but
Yeah,
there's
okay,
no longer
see,
that.
yeah,
There's
I'm
less
on
and less athletics. I don't
I
know
don't think
what's a sport.
poker's a sport
Okay.
either.
Where
Yeah.
do you
Right.
consider a sport? Is it the keeping track?
I'm,
Is it the
I'm saying
I got
golf.
it.
Golf is real
athleticism?
close in that. You know, what I mean, it's like
Yes.
golf, poker. Is
I got
this a
it.
sport?
Go ahead, Lenny.
Sport fishing when you have a fish finder.
Oh yeah.
Deer
Okay.
hunting
Yeah,
when you're feeding the deer and they come to your little spot.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
I
not
don't
sport.
think you want. Yeah, I don't think hunting is a sport unless you go out with a knife and naked.
Mixed
If,
martial
you go out,
arts.
if you're naked and have nothing but a knife, I will. That is a fucking sport.
Right.
All right. Just
I
like-
agree. Yes.
Could say
you know.
mixed martial arts when you don't tell the other person that you're fighting.
Well, golf
That's not a
definitely
sport.
is.
That's called a bar fight where I'm from. We got a couple comments I want to go over. William, disc golf. Play golf and disc golf. I love disc
yeah.
golf. I don't get to
So
play
do
disc
I.
golf very often, but that's such a fun sport. I wasn't even thinking about disc golf. But that's a
I've never
great
done
one.
it,
that-
but
that's-
I want to because I've been at Addison Oaks a bunch and people are doing it, and it just looks so much fun.
Ultimate pothead sport.
Jan's son played baseball when he was younger. Yes, it is. We used to call him Spider because he stole bases, and at the end of the season, he got the game ball. That's really fucking cool on that. It's nice to see. I don't know, Jan, if you were into sports, but it's always nice to see you push your kids into it in the competition because I think sports have lost a lot over the years, especially competitive sports in schools. Allie's here. She's got a funny story. She said she played softball all her years growing up. Fast forward to my 40s, and I'm holding a beer league. Friends came to watch. I was so excited. I was up to bat, got hit, and was running my ass off. When I got around the bases, my friend said it looked like I was running in slow motion. Because in your head, I'm sure you're like doing this awesome thing going around this. Like, I got this. And everybody's looking, you're like on a walker getting around there.
No,
Yeah.
funny story. I play in the
Playing
softball
down.
league too, and I'm 38 years old, and I've never hit a home run over the fence until just this past season, right? And I didn't even know what to do. Like I didn't even know the rules for hitting a home run in my softball league. Do I have to run the bases? Can I just touch first, or do I just stay in the batter's box and watch it go? And I had to ask the other team, like, dude, you're good. Go back to your dugout. They're just so mad. I'm like, but it was. I don't know.
They didn't make you.
Yeah.
I would have made you have to run around the bases just to
Yeah.
make you have to
be
run
honest,
around the bases.
I wanted to run around the bases as fast as I could, but they're like, no, you just go right back to the dugout. You don't do anything. I'm like,
It's amazing.
all
That
these
was-
years not hitting a home run, I finally get one. I don't get to run the bases. This is
Yeah,
bullshit.
you want to do
the
that
bases.
Gibson run like that? Like
Yeah,
my
little
leg is still
stutter around
stiff.
each base.
Because then it doesn't even have to be you're out of shape. You're just taking your time because, I got this shit. You don't even have to okay,
Pull
so
out
you're
your
old.
phone, start playing. Dun, 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 dun.
If I had done it more often, I would have had a sweet bat flip and everything else.
Yeah, Allie says it was faster ahead, and that goes for a lot of things I do. I think I'm going so quick, and you watch the playback or you talk to people after, like, no, you should not do that anymore. Bill says some cheer teams have won more championships than sports teams. That's very true. Bring It On. I don't know if you were
Yeah,
telling
that-
him to bring it on or referring to the movie. but
That's
Are
the
both.
movie. Yeah.
Are you talking
Yeah,
about
both is
University
true.
of Michigan cheer team? Because that
Way more wins
was way more wins.
and half as many drops.
Now Tony's here. Tony literally just put this on to piss
Yes.
Lenny off. What is not a sport is horse riding.
Come on over, Tony. I'll put you on the back of one and see how much of not a sport it is.
No, that doesn't count with Tony because it's
horse
like me
is
and
like,
horse riding. The horse is like, I'm not doing it. I don't care what you think. I am not doing it. You ever see Robin Hood Men in Tights?
Yes.
It's like pretty much
Okay.
the same thing on that.
But here's the thing: men don't want to like put themselves on the back of a horse to wear the breeches. But it's the same thing as a football tights. What's the difference? You just don't have pads on under it. You wear the same shit.
Wrestling.
Wrestling.
That's
Yeah,
the worst.
leotard. Yeah.
Like those are manly
like
sports,
Baywatch.
but you put that same outfit on and get on a horse, and all of a sudden you're a girly dude.
Golf
Right.
for sure. I agree with you. That's what I had said too, Jan. It's not a sport. I don't really get it. Tony, I will wear Tony, we're moving on.
I know you will. I've seen you in them.
He will wear the spandex on there. Skeet shooting.
He's put mine on.
Is skeet shooting or target shooting a sport?
Yeah.
I'd say, yeah. I mean,
yeah,
again, we're
yeah.
down that road of like we're keeping score on this thing, but what makes it a sport or not? It's a competition for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a fine line that people draw. Sports have changed a lot over the years. What do you think? What sport do you think has suffered the most?
Suffered?
Football.
Football, you think it is?
Football, yeah.
Why?
I mean, for good reason, safety reasons. I mean,
Safety.
yeah, for
Yeah.
safety. A lot of the hard hits have been taken out. You know, those exciting big hits that, you know, as a football fan growing up, like you, that's why you loved the game, because of the violence and, you know what I
The
mean?
danger of it all.
Yes, exactly. I mean,
And I
That
was-
takes me over to hockey. Because, like,
Mm-hmm.
hockey fights were a big thing, and then they disappeared. Now, you still get some hockey fights, but not like you used to.
I would
Right.
say
A lot
the
of
worst
people who are
probably. So like I'm not, again, like just like you guys, I'm not really a basketball fan. I enjoy watching March Madness because that's wild no matter what. But that might be the most where like everything's a foul. So like
Yeah,
what are
I
we even
agree.
watching here, dude? Like
Let
basketball
them play.
players, they turned into soccer players. They
Yeah,
just,
like-
they roll around
yeah.
every time they get touched. Yep, and they're flailing around. Oh, yeah.
yeah, it's bad.
Basketball's
Now-
gotten really bad.
good
Stay away
acting.
from the professional sports on there. Kids are getting into sports a lot these days, or they're trying to, but that's where sports have really changed when it comes to school sports.
Mm-hmm.
As far as the everybody's a winner attitude, the way they treat
don't
them, the
even
way
get
they
me
coddle
started.
them.
Yeah.
Oh, I hate
I'm
that.
going to. So I'm
Let
going
them
to start a little
lose
bit
and
on
learn
this.
how to lose.
Right.
You know?
You
Let
know,
'em
if
lose
you don't
and
like
learn how to
losing,
lose.
practice and get better.
Exactly.
Well, that was what it was.
Letting
It
them
was
all
the
just
drive to
keep
get
playing
better.
with nobody
Right.
losing. That's how you make people in lifted trucks that cut people off in traffic.
And everybody gets to play. No, everyone doesn't get to play. If you're not good, you don't get to play. You sit on the bench and watch until you're good enough to play.
Jan, you had an average of 289 on a bowling league in New York. That's a damn good average. You beat me. I'm not going
No,
bowling
that's
with you.
289 a year. But
Sounds
Oh,
made
it's per year. Okay. I'm sorry.
I was in a bowling league. Her average was 289 on a bowling league.
that's wild.
up. Yeah. Professional bowlers average 225.
That's why I'm impressed with that. That's pretty fucking good. I don't know why Jan would not to be honest with us.
He
Dark
threw
Sage
9
here.
balls at a time.
Speaking of golf, Augusta National and the PGA should be ashamed of themselves for the slop they put out this week. The Masters was horrible. Josh, I'm going to bring you. I don't know if you watched the Masters. Did not feel or even capture what the Masters is supposed to be for golf. This was a terrible mistake to stage the event, and I feel the prestige and glory of the event has been destroyed. Partly how we're talking sports have changed. Josh, do you follow any of that?
Yeah, I do, and I kind of agree with Dark Sage there. When you have an event like the Masters, and it's an event that's usually in April, it's the very first golf event of the year, and there's such a draw up to it, right? You're excited about the golf season coming up, and just the 100,000 fans that are on the golf course, and like the parties that are going on, and everything, you know, just and even, you know, when I was watching it, I could tell that the golf course was different, because when you watch the Masters, it's all about the spring flowers and the different colors, and like it's a cool thing to watch on the TV, and the course didn't look the same. Yeah, sure, it was probably just as challenging, but you lose the luster of playing in the fall as opposed to playing in the spring as the first event. So it kind of got lost in the mix.
Like, was it more theatrical or what?
I don't think that it was more theatrical. I just think that it was losing things. I mean, just like any other sport. I mean, but you can't filter in crowd noise for a golf. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right.
Like the NFL does. You know what I mean?
I remember-
You can't just filter in sounds. You're losing a lot of the aspect of watching golf on television, because you're not seeing Augusta for what Augusta is, and that's why they play in the spring, because it is a wondrous place, to be honest with you, and it just looked like a regular fall golf course. You know what I mean?
Like
It
I remember
wasn't the
when
same at all. I didn't
I turned
enjoy
on
it.
one of those MLB games this year, and I saw the cardboard cutouts, and I actually got so freaked out I turned it right off. I was like, "What is this? No." But I don't know. So like,
give
I would
them
argue.
credit for trying different shit in a lot of.
I was gonna
this.
say I would argue it's better than not having it at all. Maybe. Like, would you just? Well, maybe next year. Like, and then also I was thinking, because I'm a little high. Would you watch the Kentucky Derby with 0 people there?
Yeah.
Would I watch it?
On
Well,
TV.
yeah, Lenny would.
You're
But
biased.
I would.
No.
But I like
so
I like
weird.
what Bill just put. So do they really have
Oh,
badminton in the Olympics?
Oh yeah, that's.
Oh,
that's-
yeah.
Yeah.
I did not
Oh,
know.
the,
I actually
the
like
Asian
badminton. I think
countries
it's fun.
run that shit.
Now, mind
they're
you-
ridiculous at badminton.
Between the legs, double backflip.
Oh.
Yeah, to a degree, I think everything
God.
we talked about is a sport to a degree. There is a little bit of sporting aspect. So I'm not really saying that these things are not a sport. I don't think anybody is. It's a sports aspect to it. But just in comparison to the competition of sports, an activity. Oh my God, Bill, you read.
Okay, you know
An
what?
activity involving physical exertion and skill in which an individual or team competes
Thank you,
for another
Webster,
for entertainment. Well, that's why we had this show, because nobody knew what the fuck it meant. I really
See,
appreciate that.
he did use the word entertainment. Cheerleading, there's no entertainment there, so definitely
What?
not a sport. Right?
Yeah, there is.
What? They are literally there for the entertainment.
Yeah.
A cheerleading competition?
I've seen some stuff. It's a
I-
good time.
No. Wait a minute.
Just leave it there.
No.
I've seen some stuff.
What, are you looking for crotch shots while you're watching a cheerleading competition, you weirdo?
Yeah, why do you think they're doing the back rolls?
I can
Hi,
see
Nikki.
the entertainment being like for like the cheerleaders on the side of like for the football cheerleaders, right?
That's
But
originally what I
different.
thought
That's
you
not
were
what I'm
talking
talking about. I'm
Okay.
talking about I would never turn on a cheerleading competition because there's no
It's like a
entertainment there
dance.
at
It's
all.
like a dance.
Yeah,
it's
it's a
like watching
dance routine.
Dancing with the
Yeah.
Stars.
Fair enough.
But, I mean, even dance competitions to a point are sports.
Yeah.
Do like
Yeah,
do
I've had
high
that argument
level
with my wife. Yeah.
like professional high level
She was a
cheerleading
dancer.
teams? Do they have cheerleaders for their cheerleading team?
Who's Josh? We're not losing Josh's drink.
Take
Josh
his
needs
drink away.
You
Like, I
show
got you.
Josh.
I'll take
Drink
it.
that shit. I'm drinking with you
Finished,
on
man.
that. I think there's a lot of things out there that are considered. Some people consider sports and some don't. But they all. I don't agree necessarily with Bill's definition, which is Webster's definition, because I think we all view sports differently. I don't think we view it as that. I don't know how to say. Some feel that you need the activity. You need the athleticism there.
Right.
Sure.
Some feel you need the competition for it to be a sport. And I was just curious on the panel how people had judged it differently, how they feel on that.
That's just where it's a fine line because it's objective whether or
Right.
not
Exactly.
And
how
that's what we
much
are. We're very
physical
objective
stuff there is.
because our everything we say is supposed to be objective to people. That's why we're doing. Everybody on the panel has different things in common, and that's the point of this panel. And that's why I love it. On there. So what about this year? Let's go into it really quick. How have sports been for you this year? They all came back at
Non-existent.
once.
Wonderful
Okay,
for me.
when they came back, did it feel the same anymore?
No.
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 Why did it feel different for starting with Josh? Because the game's still being played. What makes it different?
The game is still being played, but it's when you can't go to a game and you can't enjoy yourself at the game and you can't do things like that, and then you throw in all the other stuff that's been surrounded by this sports season. I'm
Too much
talking, like,
distraction,
just
right.
Too much distraction. So you can't even watch a football game without Joe Biden or a Trump commercial or something else going on where it's just you don't really want to watch half of it because you don't care for the political value of anything that's going on the television. And I just think that there was way too much that happened this year. That you're absolutely right with the distractions. You couldn't really focus without getting angry over something else, or not being able to go, or not seeing fans at the game, and having fake crowd noises pumped in. And
Yeah,
like,
that's weird.
It's strange. And I mean, granted, I still watch because, like I said, I got money on the line most of the time, so I'll watch. But it's not the same at all.
I think actually most people agree with what you said there. I don't. If anybody have anything else to add to that, because I think that pretty much covers what a lot of us are thinking
Yeah.
on there.
No.
I mean,
feel the same way.
specifically, like I was proud the UFC was able to make it to where they were like the first sport that was able to do the bubble, which again is because you're not dealing with a whole team of players and a whole league. It's just a couple of guys on each card, guys and girls, and it's a little bit easier to do the bubble thing. So I got fights pretty much this whole time, even when everybody else didn't have their sports. I was having a wonderful year. And the one thing that did change though is there's no crowd noise, so you're just hearing two guys fight and like every
Okay.
bit of that audio, and
And I
that's
think-
weird. But
even
some
the
people
players
enjoy it.
feed off that. They feed off that. They need that, I think, and that probably brings down the morale of the players not having that out there. Sure, they got cutouts
For sure.
or whatever.
For sure.
It brings it out. Do you think they would have been better just to cancel sports this year and just
I
skip
don't
the
know.
year?
Then we'd be arguing that they didn't do anything. So
No, I'm just
Yeah.
asking if you think it'd be better. I know we'd still be arguing, but do you think now that it's come out, now that it's changed so much, or do you
No.
think they did the best they could?
I think some people needed that distraction from the other stuff.
Yeah, short
know?
seasons and unprepared. I'm gonna go back to
But
Tony
Tony's.
here.
I'm just
Tony's
trying to
it.
think what the purest sport would be.
Honestly,
I mean, I'm
I'm
going to
gonna
say fighting, but
I'm gonna say football, honestly, because of everything involved in actually playing football. I would actually probably put football up there as the purest sport. It's not my favorite, but I definitely would.
And what does that really mean, purest sport? Like
Yeah.
what?
Well,
it's
if you
kinda
speak
broad.
sport, yeah. But I think what he's saying is that's a true sport if you're ever watching something. Just like we said, that's not a real sport.
or is he
If
saying
you watch
like
something,
on the purity of the definition and the purest as far as the skill
think he's
and
going-
the
he said-
athleticism?
Well,
now,
you-
I think you guys
it's
are
a-
all reading
it's a-
really deep because he said opinion.
Well, I
So-
think football on a whole as a team is huge because every aspect of it relies on each other. You know, every part
Sure.
of it relies a good quarterback has to have a good offensive line. You know,
That's what
all
I
of
mean.
it.
For a team sport, I guess would be a way to say that.
Yeah,
for
that's what I was
for
going to
me.
say too. But I'm going to agree with Brandon here a little bit when he said, the UFC or MMA or even boxing for that matter. Like,
that's a one man
yeah,
show.
it's a-
Yeah.
yep, it's like I said, those gladiator sports.
say
Those are the
physical for
purest.
sure.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Glad here.
Yeah.
I'm going to say something here, and I'm actually going to comment on this more than Tony wants me to. I hate to be a bummer on the show, but I do not like baseball, football. They make more money than our military, just saying. Now, I'm curious, Jan, because Tony responds with, and your point is... well, no, because
Your point is, Jan.
sports people... Do you feel that sports stars make too much money? Sports players make too much
No,
money?
I don't think so.
Nope, I don't think so either. And the
I
reason
don't have
think so
enough
is
money
because-
to say anything. So
Well, they wouldn't make so much money if there wasn't so much interest from us, the
Exactly.
fans, right?
It's like an
if there was-
entertainer.
If there was no interest, I mean,
It's like a singer.
I
Yeah.
mean, if they put the military and the war like on TV, like I'd be watching that shit fine, and then they can get paid more money. Like I would totally watch that, not because I'm a I like that kind of violence and people getting killed, but like that's something that people would watch, and they probably could make money, but
And their
think
careers are short.
yes,
You know, their
I would say
careers
there
are
are
not
cases.
lifelong.
I would say there are cases where they're probably overpaid or unfairly paid in comparison, but I do not think in general that most athletes are overpaid. I think they're paid way more than we want them to be if we're flipping burgers at McDonald's or doing whatever our career happens to be. Obviously,
but they're only getting
it's
paid
more
based
jealous.
off of what the consumer
That's what I'm saying.
supply and
is
demand.
letting
yeah.
Yeah.
them. Yes, exactly.
That's what I'm
So-
saying on that.
And
On
and
that,
they're
you
hurt
can-
and they're taking a risk on their body every time they do what they do.
Our military puts their lives on the line for us players, just in it for the money. I don't want to get much into this because it's kind of more of a political aspect of that. But honestly, almost all decent jobs out there get paid more than people in the military. So
Right.
I don't really want to do that comparison because we all, if we have
And
a good
that's
job, are
and
making
that's
more
not
money
a
than them.
sport.
Yeah, all of us.
You
Yeah,
know?
it's
Right.
also a very different podcast
It's-
to go
yeah,
into.
Exactly.
That.
Like
Yeah,
sports are there to entertain us, and we pay for entertainment, and our dollars that go to
We
us
live for
watching
entertainment.
TV, and you know what I mean. Yes, exactly. They're getting our entertainment dollars, and especially
Yeah.
football players in the violent sports, they deserve the money because they are putting their health on the line. You know what I mean?
Well, I'll tell you right now, if nobody went to those games, those players, like you said, they wouldn't be paid.
Right.
So it's us doing it. Bill, that was your job. That's why we asked people to comment on there. So mention boxing. We have mentioned boxing a couple times.
Muhammad Ali, baby.
And the greatest athlete of all time.
I find it so hard to like boxing just with how weirdly dirty it is. Like just the fact that like the whole idea is you have to be undefeated in like 25 fights just to be like talked about. And so they just set you up with guys that are horrible for 25 fights and then put you into some kind of show. It's like, what do we even? It's a waste of time. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
but Ali's dope.
Tony, the careers are short in
Yes.
football, and you're talking about the top athletes in the world, which is true. And that's why I think sometimes it may get a little overboard. The only reason I say that is, you got some other players in there that either deserve more equal of the money because, especially with sports like football and hockey and all, you're team-based. You're nothing without your team. So I do this. Sometimes there is discrepancy with the pay, but I still stand by what you said, Josh, as well. We don't watch it. They don't get paid.
Right.
You know, we don't do it. Football is turning. I'm curious what you kind of mean on that.
When you throw it, it spirals, so it's turning.
Yeah, those are called revolutions.
Not footballs. Footballs are turning. Football is turning on their foot. Oh yeah, that's something we were talking
that's
about.
back to my point from earlier for
Yeah.
the safety
Right.
reasons. Yep.
Football's getting wimpier every year. What the hell is a defenseless player?
I can tell you right now, with a defensive player, if you don't know you're about to get hit, you're defenseless.
Right.
Like, if you
That's
catch a
what-
ball and you don't even have time to turn around and look who's going to hit you, you're defenseless. So I agree with that rule. You know what I mean? It's like you can't just throw your head and your helmet into somebody that doesn't know you're coming, right?
Yeah.
Hit them where you're not going to end their career. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, and by the way, if they can't see your hit coming, just fucking grab them. You'll get the same result. You don't have to like murder them.
Yeah.
We love murder,
But
we do, but
we
just watch
for
HBO.
that. We watch for that a lot of times. As a lot of shows we've had on here, from the music, TV, movies, all that, sports define us too, in parts of everyday
Yeah.
life. And you know, some of the most interesting shows we have that we're talking about as far as inspiration in life and what you're doing, they all have to do with entertainment. So when you're talking about, Jan had brought it up, and I just want to reiterate, you're talking about people who make too much money. You've got that with TV stars, you've got that with movie stars, you've got that with music artists, sporting stars, and they all make more money than probably anybody you know in real life, unless you happen to know one of these stars, which is a different story. But they do. But it's our entertainment. As the human race, we go out there to be entertained, to forget about life. And it's our escape from reality, because most of us, especially this year more than any, but every year, we're going through so much shit. We're going through so much trouble out there. We just want something to escape to. For some of us, it's going to the theater and watching a movie. For some of us, turning on the game and watching the sport. It pulls you away. It's something you enjoy and something nobody should or could ever take away from you. So when you've got that wonderful man of yours or woman of yours sitting watching that game and ignoring everything else, let them have that moment. Because that's the break that keeps them happy with every other thing in their life. Let them enjoy those periods. Never down it, never look at it, and never argue. Well, you can argue it. That's part of the fun, I guess I should say on that.
That's it.
You've got to, but sometimes it doesn't hurt to engage either. If you're one of those people that just doesn't understand it, don't ask questions while they're watching the game, but watch and try to learn what the enticement is, because I'm sure that most people who watch something they never had before are going to find something interesting about it. Sports are defining. Music, movies, everything that is meant to entertain us is defining. And I appreciate what everybody had said on here, because you all had different insight from different views and different points of view on the sports, and me too. I love watching them. Like I said, I can't anymore, and I'm going to be honest, it's hindered my life not being able to watch sports, because I used to really be into them, and now's the point I don't want to watch them because my career took over. Don't ever let that happen to people, because it's what they need. It's one of the best things in their life. I do want to say thank you. Of course, today's topic was what's the score? A sports fan's dedication. We were talking, of course, about how sports has affected your life, how you feel about it, what's changed and all that. And I hope you got a lot of input. We had a lot of good chats out there from a lot of people. Our next topic coming up on Wednesday, 2 days from now, because this got delayed till Monday, is going to be when the child becomes the parent. On that, we're going to talk about when your parents get older or they get sick and you have to be taking care of them. How do you handle that responsibility? We've got some special guests on that one. It'll be a very good topic Wednesday, of course. Deeper topics, that's how we roll. Don't forget to like, share, follow, and subscribe to Ear Shoulder Voice on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Twitch, LinkedIn, and whatever I missed on there. Because we're on there, and then you can follow our shows. Go to our website at www.earshouldervoice.com. Get notified of all our live shows on there. You can even sign up to be a guest panelist, and that's the best thing of all, because this show is nothing without you. I want to thank everybody in the chat, everybody in the comments. Your input was very much appreciated. It is what makes this show. Honestly, you guys make this show. Our panelists make this show. We are nothing without everybody together. So, Lenny, thank you again for being here. This has been fantastic. I had no
fun.
idea you were so into sports. So,
Oh yeah.
I appreciate that and thank you. You said I wanted to be on the show. I'm like, Lenny? So, okay. I was like, you do. Josh, I don't think I know anybody that has more knowledge of sports than you do, honestly. I really appreciate everything you put into this and
No
everything
problem,
you
man.
said.
Absolutely, it was a
It
pleasure.
was very helpful. One day I'm going to actually go out golfing, but you guys will be 18 holes ahead of me. You'll start on the same one. Like, we're moving on.
Yeah, it works.
And Brandon, thank you for your routine. I know how hard that is. You did a good job. You said some funny stuff in there. We appreciate that. And you had a lot to offer on the second half of the show as well. So thank you for being here.
Thank you.
I am Keith Liffin. You all have a great night. Thank you again for joining us on Ear Shoulder Voice.
See you, Keith. Nice meeting
Good
you guys.
night.
Yep.
And thank you, Bill, for not going pornographic on us. I forgot to add that on there.
Oh,
That was
still
actually a
watching?
fun one. I liked that show.
I know. That was fun.
I did.
I forgot
wasn't
the
sure I was
instructions
gonna
you
be
gave
on
me
it.
earlier about the credits. I was about to get out. I was like,
I
it's
saw
time-
you.
It's time to go pee.
Oh, no, you don't get to pee yet. That's it. We know
Nope.
you're waiting to. That's why we have you drink all. Because you get more antsy as the show comes to an end. On there.
Yeah. Always at an hour in, I have to cross my legs.
Yeah, I've been
I was
pressing this
nervous
for a
about
little
doing the
while.
show because, like I said, I haven't followed so recently in sports in probably the last 10, 15 years. I've just dropped out of it. So I appreciate that. Was a lot of fun. I enjoyed that. I didn't even realize how much it impacted me.
This whole year has been like a non-existent sport, so that's why I was worried about it. I'm like, what are we gonna have to talk about now anyway? You
Yeah, I
know?
think when they came back, sports was just a clusterfuck. I mean, it
for
really
sure.
was because everything came back at
For
once.
sure.
And that's why I was wondering, like, was it really a good idea on some of these sports to bring them back or just start the new season coming up?
I think some leagues did better than others as
Yeah.
far as
Yeah.
the unorganized, and
Yeah.
you know, I think baseball messed up. I think even the NBA to an extent did, basically restarting the season but leaving more than half of their teams at home. You know what I mean?
Right.
So they alienated the whole half the
Right.
country. Like
Right.
so, I just
Shout
think-
out to Cleveland for putting the South Park cutouts in there. At least that was interesting. Or that was Denver at Orange, whatever.
Actually, it was that.
God, it was so weird turning on that first
Nuggets.
baseball game. It was just cardboard cutouts and like projected noise. Like he's catching the fly ball. They're all like, "Ooh." There's no people there. What do we do?
You can't match it. It's like a laugh track on a TV show. You just can't match the reality of a live studio. Or in that case, the live crew.
I wanted
It's
to
gotta
be the
weird,
button
like-
guy. Like who was the button guy that decided what the reactions were?
I want that job.
Right?
Yeah, like where's the cuss out the coach, button? Where's the start a
Right,
riot
right.
button?
I don't even know if baseball still does the wave, but that had to be weird and stuff. Like, did they prop them up or anything, or just have them standing there the whole time? Because the audience reaction or the spectators' reaction, I think, is where it counts.
Did you see?
They
There
need
was
that.
there was an outfielder in the MLB. I don't remember who it was, but two times in one game he would like pick out a kid cardboard cutout and toss him the ball, like smack the board and just
Nice.
You just knock the head off the kid.
they're like, yeah,
Dad, that was me!
sorry about your neck.
That gets,
God.
it's so weird to see the cardboard cutouts. What about the TV ones? Have you seen some of those? Or they have them on the TVs now?
What do you mean?
Some of the sports, I don't know which ones in general have, but some of them have actually, just like the live competition shows where you're viewing the sport on a screen and your screen is presented, so they're getting the actual audience reactions.
Yeah, the
yeah,
NBA
yeah,
did
yeah,
that.
There.
Yep.
Yeah, that was weird. It's like NBA was like playing in a weird Zoom call.
Yeah. I think the NFL did that with the draft.
Yeah.
That's how.
Yeah.
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 It was expensive as hell to get on
the
there.
NFL draft though. Like it was still entertaining as it was if there was a room full of people in there
Right.
booing the commissioner. Like they piped in the booze, which was funny. You know what I mean? As he's in his fake basement, which definitely wasn't his fucking basement because it was the size of mine. And what kind of billionaire has a house the size of mine? You know what I mean?
That was just his hall closet.
Yeah, it might have been.
That's probably what it was. It is so weird having the not real crowd in there. But it's been funny. I mean, sometimes I watch it and it's just hilarious to see.
Yeah.
The stands out.